And just like that, the Redskins' zero-to-hero Cinderella season came to an end. Today's matchup against the Cowboys was in some ways a microcosm of our season. You had a team getting hot at the right time, taking advantage of a depleted division rival to secure a little momentum for a playoff run. Nothing wrong with that. But momentum, that will be the key going into next week as the Redskins stand ready to, maybe, advance in the playoffs for the first time since the Joe Gibbs-led squad did it in 2005. We're going to take a look back today, try to cast our minds back to the preseason when RG3 was still our starter and Miami loomed on the horizon. And we're going to think about how things have evolved over the course of this season. Should be a fun one. Stick with us for the recap next.
It's the Hog Style.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. So excited to have you guys with us here today on the Hogstye. My name's Sean Conti. The crew is here. Alex Zeist.
Oh, I feel just... I said it didn't matter, that win, but now that it's happened, it feels so good and warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, I agree. I was also somebody who said it didn't matter, but it's a beautiful effing feeling. What do you think, Mr. Steve Thomas?
Oh, it always matters. Beating Dallas always matters. I don't care that it was kind of half a game. We won, and, even in the worst of times, it feels good to beat Dallas. So I think it mattered. I'm very glad it happened.
Yeah.
And Mr. Robbie Duncan, what'd you think? I got your tweets today. Love the tweeting during the game. Good stuff.
Thank you. I try.
Of course.
No, I'm loving it, man. We're going to the playoffs, and now we just got to sit back and see who our opponent will be.
That's right. Things are shaking out. Actually, maybe we want to do, so folks, we want to do a kind of year in review. We won't call it a season postmortem because like Frankenstein's monster, guys, we're alive. So We're going to call it just a look back, a retrospective. We also have to talk some Cowboys game, but maybe that's a good place to start. As I understand it, the game, as of this recording, the Arizona-Seattle game is underway. Do we have an update on that score at the moment?
Yes.
Awkward
Seattle...
pause.
Yeah, sorry, cut that a little bit.
Because I rambled.
Seattle is currently winning 24-6 with 3 minutes and 51 seconds left in the second quarter.
Can you believe that? I mean, because, the Cardinals have something to play for.
And they've looked unstoppable up until apparently
really
now.
Yeah, and Seattle's coming off the heels of a loss to, what was it, St. Louis, was it? Or was that 2 weeks ago?
I think it was
last week.
That was 2 weeks ago. Oh, okay.
Well,
right. So yeah, it's certainly not what I would have expected.
If the Panthers lose today, I mean, the Cardinals could have been in position to grab the number 1 seed.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm just very surprised.
Yeah, but as
it's like the Seahawks just haunt our dreams every year. It's just awful.
The lesser Washington.
I hate them.
Yeah.
I almost hate them more than Dallas, to be honest.
No, I don't hate them more than Dallas. There's nothing I hate more than Dallas.
There are things I hate about them more than I hate Dallas.
Yeah, I don't care about Dallas. I got to be honest. As a Redskins fan, I'm going to go on the clean. I think I said this a couple weeks ago.
Redskins fans?
Well, no, I hate Dallas, but I hate I hate Richard Sherman a lot.
Yes, this is the team that repeatedly defeats us in the playoffs. Just like we called out in the intro in 2005. Who did we lose to? It was the Seahawks.
Right.
Seahawks.
There's no way you can hate the Seahawks more than you hate Dallas.
I said I almost hate them.
I hate their fans as much as
But
I hate
Sean, you're saying
Cowboys
you
fans.
don't care about Dallas. Sean is saying that.
Yeah, Sean.
Here's
Sean
what I'm saying.
is on
I
his own
don't
on
necessarily
that
hate the Seahawks more than Dallas. I hate, like, for example, New York. I hate the Giants so much more than Dallas. In my real watching, I know that there's so much history and it goes by there's a whole Cowboys and Indians thing. It's a great rivalry. Don't get me wrong. I'm not talking trash about it. But it always seems to be the Giants that really piss me off in games. It seems to be the Giants that we always fight in games.
Giants piss me off,
For me,
too.
it's the opposite. For me, it's Dallas by far, and then the Eagles, just because I think their fans are so a bunch of classless louts.
Well, you're right about that.
Of the NFC East teams, it's the Giants that bother me the least. I don't know why.
Well,
Because, up until the F. Mara thing came up, and UTI guys don't know what we're talking about with that. I didn't hate the Mara family just because it was a well-run organization. But it's just the Eagles fans and everything about Dallas. So the Giants have kind of been, if I have to not hate one team as much, for me, it's New York.
But it's ironic because they have been our main competition. They're the ones with the 2 Super Bowls in the last 10 years or whatever it is.
I have news for you, Sean. We haven't been anybody's competition in the past 20
Until right now. God damn it.
except for the odd season here and there, we have not been anybody's competition.
I'm conflicted.
That's true.
I have family members from Philadelphia, family members from New York, so I have to have a little respect for those teams because of that.
No, you don't.
Well, they're close family, you know.
Doesn't matter.
I can't tell my grandparents, anything
Yes,
too
you can.
bad because
Screw you, Grandma.
hey man, I need that inheritance at some point.
Are they
right.
listening to this show right now, Alex?
I don't know if they know how to get on the computer right now.
Well, that's probably good. They're gonna say, "Who's that Steve guy who's saying bad things about my team?"
Yeah.
Well, guess what, Grandma? Your team sucks, and your fans are a bunch of louds.
Well,
suck,
actually,
Grandma.
my other
Go home.
grandmother's a Cowboys fan, but that was just to
That's
piss
even
my
worse.
grandfather off. So,
Well, let's get back to this year, fellas.
Okay.
All right.
Let's talk a little bit about this Cowboys game.
Yeah.
I thought that the offensive line might be a good place to start. Robbie was tweeting about my man Scherf, and it was a little less obvious than some of the other major players in this game, I thought. So maybe we can talk a little bit about the offensive line.
Well,
Do you guys?
we can wait for Robbie to get back to the offensive line, but the obvious point is that Alfred Morris had a great game.
Yeah.
19 carries, 100 yards, 5.3 yards average. And I realized it was kind of half preseason-y-ish. But
Right.
the point is, he got his carries. He was rolling there. Alamo looked like the Alamo of old.
he was
if only
running
for-
angry at one point, and
was.
that's what you want to see from him. Except for
I
the
doubt he's going to
safety.
be on this team. That's why. I doubt he's going to be on this team beyond this year. I'm not
Maybe.
saying that's the right choice, but it almost is not a point even to make to me because so what?
Honestly, I don't know what the coaches think, but I don't think Matt Jones is the answer. I really don't. I'm just not impressed with the guy. I know some of the fans, you guys out there, all think he's great, and maybe I'm wrong, but I haven't seen him be consistent or better than Alamo strictly running the ball. So Morris may be gone because I don't think Jay Gruden likes him, obviously, but I don't think Jones is the answer either.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm kind of in the mode that I think running back's becoming a position where we need to look into the draft in the next few years.
I mean, Ezekiel Elliott from Ohio State, he's a late first round, early second round type player, projected at least.
I worry about a first round
Is he
running
gonna
back.
wait? Is he
I'm not gonna say we take him, but we know Scott McLuhan. He likes to take best player available.
Do you really want to get in that argument? That's total falsehood, by the way. You want to get in that argument right now?
No,
What-
not
what's
really.
no,
No,
it's
we've talked
PA.
this before,
Yeah.
but
I don't think
mean,
Ezekiel Elliott's going to make it to the 32nd pick anyway, Robbie. So we might not,
Nice.
Maybe not.
Nicely done. So,
had it,
well,
folks.
actually, 32nd pick would be the second round because remember the Patriots don't have a first round pick.
Oh, that's right. The deflate the balls thing.
Yeah,
Was that a story this year?
That whole thing.
that thing.
it might have been. I think we talked about it a lot.
Once or twice.
Steve, I think
Maybe.
you read like more, legal, reviews of it than anybody else. Even
We went in
people at
depth on that
ESPN.
shit.
Yeah, we did. we had something that we had to have something to talk about over the off season.
That's
So it was deflated footballs.
That's right.
Well, let's get back on track. We went from talking about deflated footballs in the offseason to now we have a little banner. And
But we wanted to get Robbie's opinion. I wanted to get Robbie's opinion on how our man Ty and Secchi did, and how
okay.
the rest of the offensive line did. So why don't you start, Robbie? Educate us.
Well, he did give up a big hit on Kirk a little bit before
Half.
Kirk was taken out. But I mean,
Gruden
other
did
than
not
that,
look pleased with that.
no.
I mean, I've never said Ty is a Trent Williams or I think really, I look at it play wise, ability wise. I think he's a better technician than Morgan Moses, but Morgan Moses has the more natural talent. You know what I mean?
physically gifted.
He's the more physically gifted, and just has the natural talent at playing offensive line. But Tyan Secchi is the lesser talented player, but has that technician type aspect to his play.
You tell him to
But,
block the defensive end. He knows to block the defensive end. That
He knows how to do it. He knows how to do it efficiently. But it's not like how Morgan Moses many times, like I've pointed out on Twitter with the breakdowns, he gets away with a lot due to his natural talent. It's not very clean or perfect.
Yeah.
Well, I thought other than the one play you're talking about, where I guess it was probably Hardy, beat him on the rush and just collapsed Cousins. I thought other than that, Insaki looked pretty good. I didn't see any major busts.
No, I thought he was very good. He had the tougher challenge against the Jets, and he handled that just fine.
Yeah.
So,
You were tweeting
yeah.
about Mr. Scherf as well today, as I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I saw some
I'm-
tweets about that.
Him and Morgan Moses on that Crowder screen were blocking beautifully downfield. I thought Moses had the better block of the two, actually. He had his guy and was driving him like 15 yards downfield. And it wasn't just like, one arm on the guy and running with him. He had his hands on his numbers, like physically driving him downfield. It was like
that.
the blind side.
Yeah.
When he takes him to the bus, throws him over the fence or whatever.
Where
Yeah,
was
it was awesome.
him, Mike? To the bus.
It was time for him to go home.
So to kind of look at this in the context of the whole season, Robbie, have you seen like any major evolutions in the offensive line play from the beginning of the season, or have they started pretty well and maintained that pretty well level throughout the season, you think?
In general, pass blocking has been a major improvement this year. And to tangent to that, I have a tweet from good old, what's her name, Liz Clark from the Washington Post.
Howdy, Miss Clark.
She just tweeted like 3 minutes ago, the O-line finished the regular season with just allowing 27 sacks. It's a stunning improvement compared to 58 last year.
Wow.
I mean when you put the other number out there, it's noticeable.
Yeah, and just as comparisons, for comparison's sake, the worst offensive line I can personally remember was the Texans in their first year, which is maybe 2004, 2005. David Carr is
I think.
Yeah,
okay.
Carr.
Yeah, David Carr got sacked 76 times that year.
Good.
And
Yeah.
that was the worst I can ever remember. And our O-line last year was at 58, which is getting up there. Not 76, but it's getting up there. It just
I
from
would
the
like to look at some of the stats on Andrew Luck. He took a couple seasons here. He's taken record sacks.
That Colts O-line gave up a lot of sacks this year. We need to take a look at that at some point.
And another one for the Redskins always, I remember when Spurrier was here, Patrick Ramsey just got beaten down in the pocket.
Yeah, he did.
It might not have been more than 50 sacks, but he got
Steve Spurrier didn't really believe in protection. He just believed in sending everybody out.
No.
Have a couple fat guys stand in front of you, and that was good enough for him.
I always respected Ramsey for getting back up every time, but that boy got shell-shocked back then.
Yeah, he did. But from the uneducated, simpleton's perspective, I thought our O-line did an amazing job this year in pass blocking. We didn't really see the every game like jailbreak plays that used to happen consistently. And you can blame Robert Griffin for that if you want, because I did hold the ball too long on that. But the bottom line was there was a lot of pressure last year.
There was.
And it was the fault of the O-line that they let that happen. And this year that didn't happen. There were some sacks, and but by and large, I think our pass protection was not a liability. It was an asset.
Yeah.
Think of it this way, though, Steve. 4 of the 5 guys we had on the offensive line last year are not on the offensive line this week.
That's true.
And there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
The one game where they had that, I guess, the jailbreak type of game where they were just poorly pass blocking, and was obviously the Dallas game. I mean, they gave up a ton of hits. I mean, DeMarcus Lawrence had like 2 sacks in the first drive. Again, like we pointed out back in that game, they had struggled at picking up the twists.
Yep.
Yeah.
And since then, they've slowly gotten better at picking them up. And I pointed out last week the Eagles brought all kinds of twists to the offensive line, and they picked it up beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
And
hey, Robbie, you keep calling that a twist. Back in my day, I was always calling that a stunt. Is that the same
stunt?
Thing?
It's tomato, but we've always called it a twist. Yeah.
Okay. That's not like some newfangled generational term.
I mean, it's just how my offensive line.
That's what you guys called it.
Yeah, it's what my offensive line coach called it. So it kind of just stuck.
But I think that Dallas game, even Trent gave up a sack, if I recall.
Yeah, I think so.
That game.
Trent's had some bad games this year. He's been playing hurt. So.
Yeah,
he's had his moments.
He was better than last year, though. Last year, he wasn't good for about the last half of the season. Can we talk about injuries real fast? You want to do an injury update?
Yeah, because I know we had 2 big ones in Jarrett, and who was the other guy?
Well, Phillips. Does anybody have an update? I don't honestly have an update on Phillips.
Last I heard was he was taken to a hospital, which always worries me.
What do you know, Robbie?
I watched the Gruden press conference after the game. Gruden said, turns out Phillips just had like a stinger in his neck, a really bad stinger.
Thank goodness.
But Jarrett had an MRI done, and they're waiting for the results. They say it's his neck.
Ouch.
And
but it's not a concussion with Jarrett?
They didn't mention a concussion.
'Cause
Well,
initially
that
it was supposed
the
to be
announcer said they were
concussion with
going through concussion protocol. Is what
maybe
the-
he already passed that, but Gruden,
Maybe.
I didn't hear him mention a concussion. In
And
the
it looked
press.
like the other one we had was D'Angelo Hall looked like he had a stinger in his shoulder or something. He was back out there later, but I don't know if
Yeah.
did
I
he
was
had to
Gruden
be.
say anything about.
I was really surprised he played. I mean, I
Well,
guess
they were down to no backups. That was why they had Everett back there at safety for a while.
yeah, if Goldson was playing, I assume that D'Angelo Hall would have sat.
Mhm.
Yeah,
You know,
for sure.
at
But they
least-
lost both of their starting
Mhm.
safeties, for a while, and
Yep.
Johnson and Hall.
Made
yeah,
you guys
I
a little
meant-
nervous with these
I meant
guys
in
all
general.
playing?
I meant in general, like actually just playing the game from the start.
Oh,
Like I thought he should have been one of the guys to sit.
Hall.
Anyway, yeah, Hall.
Yeah.
But they needed somebody to start though. I mean, they had to have put somebody
Yeah.
back there.
Can't go out with 10 men, Robbie.
We tried that.
Yeah, we tried that.
Anyway, so that was O line. I think obviously Kirk Cousins looked great in the first quarter. When the audience, when the
Probably his
Lichtensteiger
best
coming
first
back next
quarter all
week.
year.
Last note on the old line, Lichtensteiger's coming back.
I don't know if I don't know if you can play him though at this point.
I don't think you play him. I think you go with Josh Laribas. You have to.
Interesting. Okay.
Just ride
Actually,
the line.
this is a good point. Maybe before we get off O line, we should definitely talk about Cousins obviously next. But who started this year on the O line, and who is finishing this year as the entrenched starter? What has changed? Sean Lau
yeah.
is one.
Well, Trent Williams has started and finished, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Morgan,
Aside from injuries, yes.
Morgan Moses and Brandon Scherf started the year and finished.
Love that. By the
Yeah.
way,
Laribas was on the bench and was halfway out the door, and
Right.
now he's the entrenched starting center now.
And,
And then Laval is
slightly
out.
saved himself, I think. I mean,
did.
he's not been stellar, but he's been
Serviceable.
competent.
very competent. He's fixed his snapping trouble that he had at the beginning,
Right.
and I don't think he's played his way off the team.
No.
No,
Yeah,
I,
but
think,
I
I
still
think
would
he's found his
rather.
role at least.
I
He's found
still
his
think
role.
that's a spot to look at the offseason.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
he's got his role.
Yeah.
He found his role. But to answer your question, I think 3 of the 5. It was Williams, Moses, and Scherf started and finished the year, and then Laval and Lichtensteiger were out in favor of Long. And you know who I want to ask you, Long and Larib. I want to ask you, Robbie, about Long. Because
Yeah.
he had his struggles in the preseason, in the training camp, when none of us thought he was looking very good. And all of a sudden he's starting. And our running game was a major, major problem. Our running game was awful all year. This game and the first 2 games of the year, we had 13 horrible games and 3 good games.
Yeah.
And I
Right.
blame the O-line in part. I think we've all shown, and Robbie's proven, that the running backs didn't do very well. The running back rotation was awful. I blame Gruden for that. But the O-line in the run scheme, how did Robbie tell us?
It's crazy how the running game works sometimes. It could be the smallest detail that causes it to not work. Like say a lineman not getting his helmet all the way across on a stretch play because as soon as a running back sees the defensive lineman, as soon as he sees color, as they say, like at the other team's jersey, they have to cut away from that. They can't keep going or they'll get tackled. At least that's what they're taught. So I mean, it's small things like that. You could have had a good play going, but say Laribas didn't get his head across on the nose guard, or Spencer Long didn't cut off the backside. It's stuff like that. It's not necessarily a reflection on poor blocking. I mean, yeah, it's a bad block, but it's not like you're getting bull rushed into the backfield. It's not. It's just a different style of bad blocking. If that makes any sense. But then there's other times, like I pointed out last week, the very first play of the game of the Eagles, Alfred Morris missed a wide open hole.
Yeah.
Right.
He as soon as he had the ball, he took a couple steps upfield and then went to go there, but then it was then the linebacker was right there waiting for him, so it was too late by that time. It's just small things like that, running backs using their eyes when they're not. It's really not that very complex.
And I don't know if people who haven't played running back or football really can appreciate how hard it is to be a good running back. And speaking of someone who was put at it for a while and was really bad at it, and the coaches said, "Okay, you're never doing this again." You really have to have a vision. You have to have vision. You know the hole you're supposed to hit, but you have to decide in a blink of an eye, in a split second, if that's going to work. You're going to cut the other direction. If you see color, these running backs really have to way more than a quarterback. They have to make a decision on a dime. And what I saw of Morris and Jones both this year is both of them didn't do that. And you can always tell good running backs when they hesitate a split second, they'll like chop their feet. Really briefly. And those guys were doing that this year, and Morris never did that before.
Yeah.
I wonder how much coaching plays into it. I'm wondering if we need to get a new running backs coach.
That's what I'm thinking. You can't blame the rotation on Gruden. He's not the one calling the rotation.
He's in charge. I blame him. He's in charge.
I blame that on him.
He probably will hold Randy Jordan accountable at the end of the season, but there's not much really he can do at this point, I would think.
No, it is what it is for now. I mean, that's an off-season question for sure.
Right. And the one good thing about Gruden is he's not hesitant to find better coaches where they're lacking on the team.
Yeah.
It just is a combination of everything, but specifically Sean Long was what the original question was. D. Rob before
Spencer Long.
Spencer Long.
So I'm sorry, it's Spencer Long. Yeah.
Sean Long's got a nice ring to it, though.
There's probably a Sean Long out there who's played football. Yeah.
Nice.
But how did Spencer Long look? How did he improve from looking really bad in the preseason to someone we didn't talk a lot about, which is good for an offensive lineman?
See, I think it was a mentality. I think he felt, I don't know, like just was dejected and felt defeated because he got benched for Brandon Sheriff. I think he was really excited about being the starter going into camp, and then all of a sudden Morgan Moses starts playing well right tackle, and then say, hey, you know what, let's put the rookie at right guard, and then Spencer Long gets benched. I mean, that's if that's the case, then
the hot new girl transferred to the school.
Right.
Yeah, if that's the case, then that reflects poorly on him.
Girl.
Exactly, just the way I like it.
That reflects poorly on Spencer, but if that's the case, he got over it. And when he got his chance when Sean Laval got hurt, he took it and ran with it. I mean, he hasn't been perfect. I think
pass pro at least he's been good, right?
I
mean,
they've all been much better at pass pro than he is at run blocking. I think
that's true about all of our guys at this point. You could say that safely.
Although I do think he's still sort of slow-footed, and I think he doesn't adjust to change of direction very well. He's definitely not someone I see as the future left guard.
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe
there's been a lot of guys on this team though that have been promoted up into starting positions that they just got their opportunity. I think one thing that everybody on this team has learned is that you just be patient, be a good player, try hard in practice. You may just get your shot again. A lot of guys have gotten that.
It's called a meritocracy, and apparently we're going to try that with Gruden and McLuhan.
I think it might yield good results for us. It may just. All right, well, so that's the running game. We talked a little bit of offensive line, too. Let's talk about Mr. Kirk, because like we said, this was probably his best start to any game all season, right? 3 touchdowns in the first quarter?
Yep. First Redskins quarterback to ever do that, apparently.
Yeah, just from this game perspective, he set a couple records, and I know Alex has them laid out. Stats for today was 12 of 15, 176 yards, 11.7 yards average, 3 touchdowns, 155.1 rating for about a quarter and 3/4, I would say, is probably what he played. The big major criticism I had with him, other than the interceptions at the beginning of the year, was the yards per attempt are just atrocious.
Right.
And that's gotten a lot better. As the playbook opened up, he's gotten a lot better at that. And I
saw him go deep to guys like Rashad Ross and stuff.
Yeah, today, honestly, you can't really. Today's game didn't count for much. Today's game didn't count for much, is my point, because Dallas checked out from the beginning. They weren't even in this game ever.
They wanted the draft pick.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, the players didn't look like they were very motivated or interested. So I don't know how much this game showed, other than what it did show to me, from an offensive standpoint, is, the guys, Cousins and everybody got their work in. We didn't have a slowdown, so all was, they didn't play. I don't think they needed to play the whole game.
No.
Yeah.
But Cousins looked great for a quarter and a half,
He sure did. And let's say he did not early in this season. I mean, I think.
No,
one thing he definitely
dramatically over the season.
Right. Like, let's talk about that evolution, because the obvious thing, it would be the interceptions. That's the obvious thing, but it's more than that, too.
Right. Well, let me give you the records Kurt apparently, and I said Kurt on purpose there, not as a joke, because they kept on calling him Kurt the entire broadcast, and someone needs to really talk to these broadcasters. But Kirk actually, he set a couple different little records. He was the first quarterback with 3 touchdowns in the first quarter in Skins history. That's for the regular season, as Steve pointed out to me before the show. Doug Williams probably broke that during the Super Bowl.
Good point.
Kudos
Great
to
call.
Steve for that. 29 touchdowns is tied for second all time in the Redskins history books for a single season.
Wow.
I don't remember who the other person was. I think it was Sonny.
Very likely, Sonny.
Yeah, but so that puts him up there with Sonny, Mark Rippon, Sammy Ball, and a bunch of other really great quarterbacks on this team.
I don't want to pee on anybody's Cheerios here, but also a lot of this is a function of the offense.
That's true. That's very true.
This is a West Coast. It's a
know.
West Coast offense. We don't have a running game to rely on, at all, basically. And this is what Gruden does. Jay Gruden is not a running coach.
No.
Jay Gruden's history. That article I wrote about Gruden way in the beginning of the year. It was what's the deal with Jay Gruden really? What we saw was that he's actually the only coach in the NFL with significant USFL experience, either as a player or as a coach. And the second
you
half
said
of that
USFL,
article,
Steve. I got to correct you. It's AFL. USFL was in the 80s, man.
AFL, Arena League.
Yeah.
Anyway, I didn't ever publish the second half of that article because I really couldn't come up with, a sort of a link, between the Arena League and the NFL like I wanted. But the point is, what I did discover is the Arena League doesn't ever run basically. They just don't run. And so that's not his mentality. He didn't really do it with the Bengals. It's just not, we're not going to see out of Jay Gruden, however long he's here, whether it's another year or 10 more years, we're not going to see a running team from the Redskins ever again. I just don't think we are. It's just not in his DNA. And what this generates is if you find the right quarterback for that system, which he has, you can get a quarterback that has a lot of stats. Look at Andy Dalton in Cincinnati.
I don't necessarily believe that, though. I mean, I think part of it is because it's just not good enough. If he had a running game like like the Cowboys had last
2012,
year,
maybe
like that, or like the Cowboys last year, I think he would have, ridden that and taken it for all it's worth. I think he's just basically biting the bullet and saying, "Hey, we can't really run the ball well. Let's just pass it."
It's more a necessity than a choice.
It took them
that's
until
that's
the
what I
Cowboys game this year to kind of make that commitment to say we're going to be a pass first team. So
I think
there's
it's just
that part of
him
it too.
myself. I may be wrong. Who knows? We're just speculating, but
Yeah.
I just don't think we're ever going to see let's ride Clinton Portis, until he drops. I just don't think we're going to see that again.
I think even though I like Alfred Morris and I like Matt Jones too, neither of them are Clinton Portis. So
No.
that's a different kind of running back. So
But you know what I mean? My point is, we
yeah.
really rode Clinton Portis to death. He was the team.
The last couple stats I'm going to put out, the Redskins, this was pointed out by Cool as Crud. You guys know who that is.
Yes, we do.
He
What's
pointed
up,
out that
CIC?
the Redskins have scored 30 points in more games this year than the last 2 years together. So that's a fun
Don't doubt
little fact.
that at all. Yeah.
Cousins also had a touchdown in all 16 games, and that puts him second all-time for the Skins in terms of a touchdown streak, which is surprisingly sad to me. You'd think we would have a guy who has more guys that have 20 or 30 games with touchdowns.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Other than the 91 team,
Yeah, I guess so.
we've been a running team for as long as I've been a fan.
Yeah.
I don't really go back to Jurgensen. That's kind of before my time. It's way before you guys' time.
Sure.
But
And
from the late
Jurgensen, even
70s
then-
on,
Yeah.
from the late 70s on, it's always been a running team,
Mm-hmm.
with the exception of that 91 team that was such a
Right.
high flying team.
Well, and then the other exception might be the 86 Jay Schroeder team, because that's when
86.
Schroeder
Yeah,
set the
that one
old
too.
passing record of 4,109 yards. Kurt beat that today with 4,166 yards
God.
for the
And let's
season.
talk about Colt McCoy too. Colt McCoy played 2.5 quarters.
He had a
two and
nice game.
maybe, 2 quarters and a little bit of the second quarter.
Mm-hmm.
He was 7 of 1,120 yards, 11.6 yards per attempt, 1 touchdown, a quarterback rating of 133.9. And granted, the second half was kind of preseason-ish, but he didn't make any mistakes, and he looked,
And let's
decent.
be fair, a lot of that yardage came on the 71-yarder to Rashad Ross.
Yes,
Which
the
was a
gimme.
beauty.
It was a gimme.
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah, you saw a lot of wide open Redskins today.
Yeah, you did.
The thing you can easily, for me at least, you can look at that game, watch Kirk play, then watch Colt play, and you see a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least in my book. I mean, the efficiency was unparalleled when Kirk
Cousins
was
is
playing
better.
compared to
Cousins is better.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Here's the
And
thing,
on
I
top
think
of that,
Colt has equally good, like, kind of poise in the pocket, little things like that. But
why I brought that up though is because there's fans out there that still call for Colt McCoy over Kirk.
Well, Robbie, to be fair, though, Colt McCoy has not played in a year.
Right.
And don't forget that, of the 3 quarterbacks at the end of last year, he looked the best. Griffin was kind of on his way out. He was in Gruden's doghouse. Cousins got benched and put on the 3rd string.
Yeah.
McCoy, if he hadn't hurt his shoulder, was it his shoulder or collarbone? I can't remember what it was. At the end of last season, we might have seen Colt McCoy starting. I think
he also had that stinker. He had that 0-point game.
Yeah, well, Cousins had his stinkers too. At the beginning of the year.
We were just a bad team.
I'm just saying that I think if Colt McCoy played consistently, he would have been a lot better, than he was today.
Right.
He's got thrown in there off the bench after a year, so you can't compare the two.
I mean, look, what he did was good enough for me.
Yeah. He's good.
Yeah.
He's a good backup.
We got the win.
Yeah, there were a lot of moments where I'm like, yeah, that's a very Colt McCoy play. Like, they send a full blitz and he hits a guy for a check down for 5 yards when it was 3rd and 10. That's very Colt McCoy-like.
We could have Kellen Moore as our backup quarterback. Just think about that.
Well, yeah.
Poor guy, though he ended up with some 400 yards passing. I guess we can talk about that when we talk about Redskins defense, but
okay.
He did not have a bad day.
Well, let's go to the Redskins defense already because
he looked off.
Wait. We gotta give a quick shout out though to receivers just before we get off of offense.
Okay,
I just want to say for Pierre, you made the sexiest catch I've ever seen today.
That was an
awesome
nice catch.
I loved it. That's what you're going to need people to make catches like that in the playoffs.
By the way, Deshaun, I don't think took a single snap today, did he?
No, I don't think so.
No.
And
if he did, I didn't even notice.
I didn't see him out there.
The offense in the first quarter looked as efficient as ever, which is a good sign to me.
But again, Dallas.
It is
was just
Dallas.
not
I know.
in this game. They just weren't there. You got to give a shout out to Jordan Reed, though. Too. Jordan Reed, ladies and gentlemen, is our franchise leader for a single season leader for receptions for a tight end. He and Cooley were tied going into today with 83 receptions on a year. Cooley was 2008, 83 receptions. Jordan Reed had 4 catches today, which put him at 87 for the year, believe it or not. So congratulations to Jordan Reed. And one thing, I didn't think the announcing crew was very good today, because like you said, Rondé Barber kept saying Kirk Cousins over and over and over again. But one thing
he
they
said
did
Kirk
show a couple
Cousins, and the other guy said Kirk Cousin.
Yeah, they kind of
I made a little meme about that. If you guys
kind of
saw
mind
that.
melded Kirk and Kurt together.
Yeah.
But point is, they did show a couple times pretty good breakdown. I thought of some good routes that Reed ran. There was one play in particular where he kind of juked the linebacker and created space. That's the kind of thing that. Yeah, that's the kind of thing.
Wiggle thing.
Right.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that he does really well.
He
only had 4 catches, 45 yards today, by the way. Not a big game for him, but yet again, it showed how incredibly valuable. He's my MVP for the year.
He could go up there. Let me also give a little shout out to Crowder. I'm not sure because it seems like there's a controversy over if he set some kind of rookie record or not for the Redskins. But let's just say he's had the best rookie receiver season in a long, long time for us.
Yeah, that's not saying much. That goes back to maybe Art Monk, since we had a rookie receiver that did was worth a darn.
Yeah,
that we drafted.
Yeah, he continues to be one of those high risk, high upside kind of dudes.
I'm very happy with him as a receiver. I just don't want him returning punts and kicks anymore.
Exactly, I agree completely.
He's just the worst. Why, Jay Gruden? Jay, are you listening on here? I hope you are. And I don't mean fake Jay. I mean real Jay.
Robbie was already there.
Yeah, I know. He was already jumping. Because I'm
Robbie
dead
had, like,
serious
this
about
dog look where he's like, what?
I'm dead serious about this. Jay, if you're listening, you cannot let Jamison Crowder return punts in the playoffs.
No.
He is terrible at it. He's horrible at it. He's awful at it. He can't do it.
Who do you stick back there, though? Who's good at
we
it?
don't have a punt
Anybody.
returner or a kick
Rashawn, you could not be worse. You could put me out there, and I wouldn't be worse than Jamison Crowder.
Just have someone go back there and
catch
fair
the
catch
ball
it.
at least. I could at least catch the ball.
Yeah.
So put Rashard Ross. Try Chris Thompson. He was bad, but he wasn't as bad as Crowder.
Yeah.
For God's sakes, let Deshaun do it. It's the playoffs. Let Deshaun do it.
It amazes me that that's not something where you can draft a guy who did in college.
He
just
would
plug and
rumble
play.
at least. Let Tom Compton do it. He would rumble for a few yards.
Tom Compton do it.
Well, we can get to the defense, but I just want to say also, guys, these 3 guys, Pierre Garçon, Jordan Reed, Deshaun Jackson, I know he didn't play today. But like we said, they've played, and maybe a little less Garcon, but when they've been in, I mean, they've been impactful. They have absolutely had a hand in almost all of our victories.
Garcon does a lot of the little things. We don't give enough credit to him,
You're right.
I feel like.
You're right about that. And I think that's true completely. And I'm just saying, I feel so good going into the playoffs with all those guys on the team. Somebody's probably going to have to leave between Garcon and Jackson. I'm scared about that. I like having them both, and especially with the way Garcon has come alive at the second half.
Well, that, and I'll say this about Pierre, rather, that he was kind of marginalized for a good bit of this season. Because Jordan Reed kind of took over, and he could have complained, he could have whined. He's done that in the past.
He's a leadership guy, he is now at least. He might have complained a little in the past, but.
He has, but this year he kept his mouth shut. He did his thing, and he made his impact as the year went on. He could have caused all sorts of problems if he'd wanted. He didn't do that.
Yeah, good on him.
And let me make Robbie happy here. Okay, Fake Jay, why do you insist on playing Jameson Crowder at punt return when the entire world but you knows he's just awful at it?
Well, we tried a couple other guys, but they just can't do it. So we just let Jameson go, side to side, and then get 2 yards. And as long as he catches the ball, I'm okay with it.
Can I suggest something to you, Jay?
Go ahead.
You've tried Tom Compton at tight end. I'd like to see him back there returning punts, because I think that at least he could rumble forward and over a couple guys for a couple yards. What do you think, Jay?
I'd respond by saying that's why I'm coaching in the NFL and you're not.
Jay, a little sassy for the first time we've heard him.
Well, I don't know if you
9-7, bitch.
Oh man.
Well, if you can't get better at finding a punt returner, you and I may have words, because it's obscene how bad our punt return game is.
Yeah.
We knew special teams was going to be bad from the start, man.
I didn't know it was going to be this bad at punt return, for God's sakes. It was supposed to be coverage we were awful at, not punt returns.
That's true.
Look, we're fixing it a little bit at a time. We went from having the worst special teams in history, and it's taking a little while to fix that.
I don't know if people really understand that. You're absolutely right, Alex. It was truly the worst special teams in the history of the NFL.
Yeah.
That says a lot.
It was the Jar Jar Binks of special teams.
And now we're down to just the worst punt return game in the NFL. We've made progress.
Right.
Well, I bet a lot of the stats negative on that punt returning and all, probably a lot of it goes to that Deshaun Jackson return.
Yeah.
The one return and not the 800 that Jameson took one step forward and got annihilated.
I mean, you think of all the yards lost on that play.
He did lose about 30 yards there.
He didn't lose 30 yards.
It was pretty deep. I mean, he almost got tackled for his safety. He wasn't that far deep.
Are you serious? Robbie,
no, now I think we're fucking with you a little bit, Steve.
The season-long punt return, you're gonna blame that on the one return of Deshaun Jackson?
I'm just saying it didn't help.
Us, Steve.
It didn't help.
Yeah,
we could have been higher.
Yeah, he Samuel L. Jackson does, Steve.
We could have been 30th. Damn it.
Yeah. Oh, great. 30th. Wonderful.
All right, well, let's move on from the atrocious special teams and talk a little defense. And, Steve, I like your call out to Mr. Compton there. What a good game today, and I'm happy that he's coming into the playoffs with us, because he has certainly also come alive through this season.
Tom Compton. You're talking about Will Compton.
I'm talking about Will Compton, yeah.
I want Tom Compton.
By the way, highlight of the broadcast was when he made that pick, and the announcer said, "Straight out of Compton."
Yeah.
Nothing
like
a 70-year-old white man shouting straight out of Compton.
If you talk a little bit about, let's just talk about a few basic defensive stats to get us rolling here.
Yes.
Sack-wise, we had a bunch of sacks. Ryan Kerrigan had 1 sack. If I'm right, that puts him at either 9.5 or 8.5 for a year. I think it's 9.5.
9.5.
That's
9.5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Preston Smith had a sack, so he's at 8 for the year. Yeah, he may be. I'll try to look this up before we go off the air. I think he may be the leading rookie sacker.
It depends on what happens the rest of the day.
He absolutely is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now, I think
he is.
Right now, he is. And I think, he was pretty bad at the beginning of the year. He really came on very strong in the second half of the year,
Didn't he have a 3-sack game last week?
Last week, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm glad you remember.
Nice forced fumbles, too.
Chris Baker had a sack. Frank Kurse had a sack.
Yeah.
Frank Kurse sighting.
Chris Baker made some money on that sack, too.
Yeah.
Yes, we have to talk about that and what the Cowboys equivalent, how he lost money. So this is some people were making money, bonus money, and some people were losing bonus money today.
Yeah, the Cowboys kind of did Sean Lee dirty, man, because Sean Lee had a performance bonus where he was going to make $2 million if he participated in 80% of the defensive snaps of the season. Because he did not play today, his participation dropped down to 77%. So that he was inactive today because the Cowboys made him inactive. He missed out on his bonus. So that's kind of Jerry going, that's my money, not yours, son.
That's so dirty. He's like 2 to 3% under what he needed. That is so dirty.
But anyway, yeah, Chris
Yes.
Baker. To get back to it, Chris Baker had a performance bonus wherein if he had 6 sacks, he got a bonus, and so he did that today. If you go notice, he did the Johnny Manziel money side after he hit that sack, and the reason was he knew he had that bonus.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
there you
good
go.
for him.
Oh, absolutely good for him.
I mean, when it comes to guys like that, that's what you want to see, right? You want to see the guys who are going high motor getting a little extra something.
That's right.
Yep.
Well, that's the intent. The purpose of a bonus is to motivate people to achieve a certain level of performance and behavior. And in the case of Chris Baker, it worked.
And just a little random jab, he's made the number 92 jersey look good again. So
that's right.
He certainly has.
I'll just put that out there.
Yeah, because Albert Hainsworth, Fat Al, kind of has.
Well, we won't get into what that asshole did.
Yeah, we don't even have to talk about that.
He doesn't deserve the attention.
Nope.
You're right. He doesn't.
Well, let's move back a little bit in the defense. I want to talk about Compton. That would be Will Compton.
Danger, Will Compton. Danger.
Yes. It seemed like a little bit, even maybe early in the game, they might have been targeting him a little bit. It seemed like he was in on every play.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw that too, but he had a great game.
By the
Chasing
way,
guys down.
Mason Foster both.
Let me give you a little. I'm not an expert. I've never, been an offensive or defensive coordinator. If your plan is to target guys like Will Compton, you don't know what you're doing. That's not a smart plan.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't work out for them, as we saw. He had a great game.
Let me
let's
go
be
after the
honest about
fast
the
guy
Cowboys
who's really
offense.
big and can beat people up.
Let's be honest about the Dallas Cowboy offense for a minute, though.
Oh yeah.
I don't think that Tony Romo is worth as many wins as every media member seems to think.
Yeah.
I think it's a little silly to give one player credit for 6 or 7 wins. That's just dumb.
Especially in December.
Yeah, that's just ridiculous. And because what your point is, Robbie, he's been horrible in December, pretty much his entire career. Awful.
He's gotten a little better in his older age, but still,
he's
10
been
years of it. Yeah.
You know, one player, Newt Rockne was not worth 7 wins a year. Okay.
No.
I don't want to get into like the stupid baseball saber stats and the wins over replacement, but I'm just saying.
I don't think you
Tony
can do
Romo is not going to cause them
anyway,
to go from being awful to good, alone. But my point is, overall, Des Bryant's not been there all year. Basically, the running game was kind of a shambles all year. Romo was out. This offense that we saw this year from Dallas, and especially in this game where they just quit and they had Kellen Moore, poor guy out there, it was a shell of itself.
Yeah.
So the fact that our defense stopped them, I mean, I'm glad it happened, but I'm not going to pat ourselves on the back too much over a game like today.
Right. Well, and I've said it all along, and I think Jason Lockenforest kind of tweeting that this was Tom Coughlin's last game again. Like, nothing's official, but I keep on seeing that put out there.
Coughlin was being vague after the game too. By the way,
the one coach who probably deserved to get fired this season from the NFC East was Jason Garrett, and it sounds like he won't be because of his contract.
I'm telling you guys,
Thank God.
Jerry Jones likes to have his yes man.
I believe you. I
There
believe you very much about that, and I love it because he's incompetent.
That's
he's never
right.
going to take them anywhere.
No.
And if he's going to cheat, Sean Lee out of the money, that he's probably not going to just flush all that Garrett money.
Well, don't think that might. Yeah, I think the Sean Lee thing probably came from on high, not from Garrett.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think that's what. Yeah, we all agree there.
Yeah, Jason, you're going to sit Sean Lee. He's not going to play this game.
Exactly.
Oh,
Sounds
a new impression there for Robbie.
Yeah.
I try. I wanted to attempt it.
Yeah.
Well,
You need a
because
little more
Jerry
rasp.
Jones reminds me a lot of Smith. What's the old man in The Simpsons?
Grandpa?
No.
The guy who owns
Smithers?
Yeah. No, Smithers' boss.
Or,
Mr. Burns.
Mr. Burns.
Sorry.
Yeah, Jerry Jones is
Excellent.
he's
Excellent.
Mr. Burns.
Yeah.
That's
Mr.
Jerry
Smithers?
Yeah. I think Mr. Burns might be a little younger. But I don't know.
A little
No,
less
no.
zombie-like.
You wanted
Jerry
me,
Jones
sir?
is only 68. It's
looks
just
like
that
he's 100
Dallas
and-
living.
Oof,
He
yeah,
looks like
he
he's
looks like a rough
hungry.
68.
Yeah,
Yikes.
he does.
Um,
Well, considering how many drunk Jerry Jones YouTube videos there are, I think it's safe to say that he's abused his liver and his body a time or 10.
Yeah.
your body's a temple, Jerry. Never forget that.
Not Jerry.
All right, well, should we talk a little cornerback play? We saw some injuries going on today. I saw Mr. Braylon, my man, had some nice plays as well. What'd you guys see?
Well, I let me just say, I actually think he was playing it safe a lot of the game. It seemed like, especially after the injuries, he was just kind of running with his guy.
Yes.
I think that's a fair way to put it, right, Robbie?
I called that out too on Twitter during the game.
But in the end, yeah, like he had that nice little pass breakup, and I think
To, like,
Robbie and I
Butler
were
or whatever
disagreeing
that-
on Twitter over if he actually did anything there or not.
Yeah.
The angle I saw on the replay it looked like he just barely missed
He got the tip,
tipping
Robbie.
it.
He
and the
got
guy,
the tip.
I
It
don't
was
think
just the
so.
tip.
I don't think so. Alligator arms. He dropped it.
Well, either
It
way,
doesn't matter. It was still good coverage.
Exactly. And I was going to say he got his head around at the right time. He watched the receiver's eyes, which was awesome. That's smart corner play, and he's shown that all season.
I think he was phoning it in for a while, and then he's like, I don't want to lose the game, so he tried just a little bit, and that did the trick.
I mean, we got down at one point down to 5 healthy defensive backs.
Yeah, that's a little
So I
scary.
think if we had a little bit of a conservative game plan in the second half, I can totally understand it. 'Cause,
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
I think
we
we
would have
all
had to
agree
trot
there.
Tom Compton out there at safety. If there for a minute. I don't think he wants
just throw
He
Rashad
has
Ross
enough
out
in his-
there.
He has enough on his hands returning punts. I don't think we want old Tom as free safety either. So
Right.
he's a jack of all trades, people.
Right.
Tom Compton.
He can do it all.
There was definitely a lot of moments in the second half where I was seeing guys, I'm like, who the hell is number 37?
Yeah.
The last 37 I remember was
Sean
Reed
Alexander?
Dowdy.
Yeah, Sean Alexander. There's one.
Uh,
And let me tell you, if the four of us who are obsessive Redskin fans have trouble recognizing some of these people, that
Yeah.
means we've really hit the bottom of the roster barrel.
Yeah. Yeah.
that's right. In some
Speaking of
positions,
bottom
we
of
thought
the
we had
roster
done that.
barrel,
that?
Will Blackman, I mean, he's not bottom, but I mean, on a
No.
normal team, he would have been considering injuries. But he, spoiler alert, gets my game ball on defense today.
Nice.
You ruined
that's
it, and
fair.
I was all excited. Now I don't know. The
mean-
surprise is blown.
Yeah. Fuck the
No,
show
I mean,
now, guys.
seriously, though,
Let's
he
go
had
home.
the clutch interception in the red zone and then the forced fumble right at the last second on Darren McFadden to get the touchback instead of a touchdown. Those two plays, saved the game, really. Who knows? If they got both those touchdowns, it could have been different.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just going to pretend you didn't announce your game ball ahead of time. Blah 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 blah. blah. It didn't happen.
Steve was really
Robbie did
looking
not-
forward to that, dude.
I was. It's the highlight of my day.
Yeah. I like Blackman's interception. I thought that was a lot better than Compton's interception. That was
a
kind of
terrible throw by
It was a
Moore.
terrible throw. I
Yeah.
mean,
Oh,
you
it's
can almost
awful.
not give him credit.
That was a high school
By,
throw.
by the
That was
way,
a high school.
there were at least 2 more interceptions I think we left on the field there.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Forrester almost had one on a tipped screen ball early on in in their red zone.
Let's be
Yeah.
honest. The Redskins
Foster,
weren't
you
that
mean?
motivated in the second half of this game either.
Oh no.
True.
It was like a please, dear God, let's not have any other injuries
Right.
kind of game. second
I
half.
think when they carded I can't remember.
Phillips.
Phillips. When they carted him off the field, I think that was a wake up call for some of the players.
Yeah,
You
right.
could
I
tell
think
there
so.
was a difference in how they were acting.
I think Tom Compton really was going to go in there in safety for a while.
Yeah.
I'd look away from the screen if that happened. All right, well, let's do a little game balls, and I want to ask you guys: do you want to do game balls for this game? You want to do season MVP balls? You want to do both?
Let's do
I think
both
we need-
separately.
Okay.
That'd
I
be my
think we
vote.
need to save the season. I mean, we have a playoff game coming up.
Yeah.
No, but the-
or
yeah,
regular
that's true.
season.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's
you,
just
you
do
know
that.
how they don't count stats from the postseason in your regular season stats? We're going to do the same thing with our season game ball.
Okay,
Fair
all
enough.
right.
Okay.
Whatever.
I'm down with
We
that.
can always, this is our show. We can do whatever we want.
Right,
We can
exactly.
give more season game balls again later if we want to.
Everybody
go.
gets the ball.
No,
Thanks,
everybody
Oprah.
doesn't get a trophy. This is not Little League Baseball.
Well, actually, we won the NFC East. Does everyone get something? I don't know what they get
Well,
for winning
that's
the...
because we have a championship trophy to go in our trophy case now. So
Right.
yes.
Yeah, but don't they get paid too?
No, they don't. There's no hardware that go along with it. They may get a bonus or something.
Yeah.
There's not a contractual bonus that goes with it. No.
Okay, I didn't know if they maybe... Like, I know they get the little hats, but they don't get anything
Yeah, no.
like
I
maybe a
don't
nice
believe
little
there's a-
kerchief that's embroidered or something. I don't know.
A kerchief?
Yeah.
What is a kerchief?
An embroidered
Fruity-
kerchief.
Good
A
lord.
handkerchief.
Yeah.
It was one of the more
Like
feminine things we have talked about.
I hope we
Okay.
we aren't giving handkerchiefs to come get your championship handkerchief, Tom Compton.
Kirk Cousins could
All
rock
right.
a kerchief, and you guys know it.
Oh God! Can
Or an
somebody
you mean
give
an
me a ball,
ascot?
please?
Yeah. All right,
Somebody
I'll
give a
do.
game ball
I'll
out,
do game
please,
balls. I'll
All
get
right.
us off this very
before we
strange.
really
topic
go
right
off the rail.
Yeah. Okay, game balls. Okay, I'm gonna do a game ball, and a season game ball, like we said. Okay, offensive. We'll do offense first.
Sure.
Offensive game ball for today. I'm gonna honestly say Pierre Garçon. I know he may not have had the most productive day on offense, but he is playing right now like we need him to going into the playoffs, and I loved that catch. He's gonna get the today's game ball. Now, season wide game ball. Offensively. Whoo, boy, it's tough to say Jordan Reed or Kirk Cousins. Ultimately, to me, it comes down to those two guys. I'm going to give it to Kirk because he has truly shown an evolution to the next level. He cut out his big problem, which was the interceptions. He gets the game ball for sure offensively. Defensively today, Compton, probably. I loved his play. Season-wide, Mr. Bashad Breeland. Can there be any other? I don't think so. So those are the guys that get it for me. I'm going to stick with that. I'm happy with it.
Okay.
Okay. I will go next. I'm going to give today's offensive game ball to Alfred Morris. He had 100 yards today. Even if this is Alfred's, denouement with the Redskins, as it may be, it was really good to see him have a good game, running like his old self here. So I like that. So Alfred Morris gets my game ball. On a defensive, I'm going to go Frank Curse.
Okay.
And the reason I'm going to go Frank Curse is that he got a sack today. He's been bouncing around all season between the practice squad and the active roster. He's been a hero. He's been a real champion. He hasn't complained. I'm glad to see he racked up a stat. So Frank Curse gets a game ball just for being a good guy. And from a season standpoint, I think offensively, it's going to be definitely Kirk versus Jordan Reed. I'm going Jordan Reed, not just to be different, but the reason is I think if we have an elite player not named Trent Williams on this team, it's Jordan Reed.
That's a great point.
And I think in every game I saw, Jordan Reed has been the biggest difference maker. If he's playing well, we win. If he's not or he's not there, we don't.
Absolutely.
And so that's the reason why I give it to Jordan Reed. Defensively is a little bit harder. I have trouble giving it to any of the defensive linemen just because our run defense has just been so atrociously awful, bad, terrible.
Everybody gets to the second level.
Embarrassment, yeah. So I guess I'm going to go Deshaun Golson. He's shorn up the free safety position. He's our leading tackler from a stats perspective.
Right.
He's been clearly a leader of the secondary. I think Breeland's great, but I think Goldston is the guy who held the group together. So I'm going Reed and Golson.
Okay, that's so for you, you're going Reed and Golson. All right,
Yeah.
so I'm trying to think. I'm having more trouble with this game because we pulled our guys out.
Right.
But here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that this game, just since it's a feel-good game, I'm going to give it to Rashad Ross for that nice 71-yard touchdown. Just for that.
Very pretty.
It was very pretty, and I
The
think that
dance
kind
afterwards was nice.
it sealed the deal. So, good for them. For the year, because he set all those records, man, I got to give it to Kirk. And, I think we were all a little skeptical of Cousins early on.
Yes.
But
Rightfully so. He was terrible.
yeah, but I
kidding.
think, we said he's got to show something this year, and he did
Yeah.
in
You're
a big
absolutely
way.
right.
So I think he gets my MVP vote for that. As far as the defense, this game, going to go with Danger Will Compton. I'm just going to keep calling him that and hope it sticks some point.
There you go.
I
Get on board with that.
I've been a fan of his since we drafted him or signed him as a unrestricted free agent. I don't remember what we did, how we
He was
got him.
undrafted.
Undrafted. I liked his play, early on. He had that high motor, a lot of speed, and he's kind of just panned out so well for us. So I'm very happy with him in this game, and I think we'll see a lot of future with him. For the year, I'm going to kind of throw a wild card in there. Quentin Dunbar.
Wow.
Dunbar?
He's gone from being a wide receiver to a 2/3 corner for us at times with all the injuries. And if he doesn't step up his play, we probably lost 2 or 3 games this year.
It's a good point. He had some critical moments, a couple of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's your game ball. You can give it out.
Yeah.
Took some balls to give out that.
I
game ball.
almost gave a game ball to Tom Compton just because he's so awesome.
Well, Tom Compton is great too.
What the fuck? All right, Robbie, hit us with
Ty Nsekhe gets a game ball.
it. Right.
Well, speaking of Tom Compton, I mean, I think we've pointed out a couple times on Twitter, at least this week, we all saw that Washington Post article from Dan Steinberg about how the Redskins, at least the O-line and Kirk, are like obsessed with Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I did.
They quote it and reference it all the time on the team.
Yep.
Apparently, Compton of the group is the voice. He's the voice guy. He does.
Yeah.
Apparently, he does voices of the characters, so he gets a shout out for me on that. But
Robbie,
but,
you'll be
game
the one who
balls
appreciates
wise,
this real quick. I ordered a Prancing Pony in T-shirt the other day, so
Oh wow!
What?
The
Wait,
prancing
whoa! Hold on. We'll get back to Robbie in a minute. What the heck are you talking about?
the Lord of the
Prancing-
Rings, the
Steve,
pub.
Prancing Pony is the tavern that it's the tavern that they hang out in the first movie
You are a far bigger nerd than
where they
even
meet
I.
Aragorn.
Yeah,
Where
Robbie
they
gets
meet
it.
Aragorn. Oh
I
man.
thought you were talking about something really weird. I had no idea what you're
No,
talking
I'm not
about.
a brony, for God's
I was
sake.
going to say, are you like a My Little Pony fan? Is that what you're talking about?
No. I
You're gonna
don't wear a My Little Pony T-shirt and go to weird conventions and
So you say, but yet you're
Yeah.
wearing a pony T-shirt, apparently.
Yes, he let it slip. He had to make up that whole Prancing Pony tavern thing to cover up for it.
Sorry.
They hid there. The wraiths came and tried to kill them. They were hiding in the other place across the street.
It's
I
a
remember
bar
now.
where
It really
people
just shows
drink.
you how the difference in the three of you and me, which is fine, but it
Sean
didn't
had
even
no
occur
idea
to
what we
me.
were talking about, so he's kind of the in between.
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't even think about that. Jesus.
Robbie Game Ball.
Well, don't worry, Steve. I mean, you're a nerd too, like us. You're just a nerd in Redskins fashion.
Right.
You're a Redskins nerd.
I am a
That's why
Redskins.
we're doing this.
Yeah.
But anyway, game
Game
balls. Like I said, for defense, Will Blackman, he had 2 really clutch plays that that really flipped the momentum. Dallas was coming back. They were driving on him. He got the pick, and then Darren McFadden had that big run, almost scored a touchdown, and then boom, popped the ball out, and we get the ball back. So him defense, offense, giving it to
Tom Compton. Come on.
nope, Ty Nsekhe.
Ty had a good game.
Nice.
I like that. Ty, you know what? Ty filled in for a Pro Bowler, possible Hall of Famer. Did pretty well. I can go get along with that. If you're not going to go Tom Compton, Ty Nsekhe may be a good second choice.
Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, Greg Hardy may not have the stats to show it this season, but Greg Hardy is a talented pass rusher, and Ty handled him for the most part really well, other than that one hit. I mean,
He did a
I
lot of
hear he
jawing.
shoved
one
his
bad
face
play
into
is
a
one
couch.
bad play.
Yeah,
Was that?
And we like Ty. He's a friend of the show, so we got to
Yes.
give him some love.
that's right.
Yes, he gets my game ball. For the season, defense. I'm going to throw a monkey wrench into the operation. Preston Smith
Nice.
for defense.
I like that.
Yeah, that's not a bad call.
Even despite his slow beginning of the season.
He has grown. He's grown up as the season has gone on. He got a sack on Tyron Smith. He had 3 sacks the week before against Jason Peters. I mean, that's 2 Pro Bowlers right there. And Jason Peters arguably could go into the Hall of Fame as a left tackle. Anyway, Preston Smith, game ball for the season. It was like a hero's journey. He fully developed, so to speak, and is still growing as a player.
It's not
That
how you
sounds
start,
like
it's
some
how you
Lord of the
finish.
Rings reference, also, isn't it?
Oh,
that
hero's
a Lord
journey
of
is
the Rings reference?
no. That's a literary term for
I'm kidding.
any
I'm
kind of.
joking. I'm kidding.
Okay. Anyway,
And your
Offense.
offensive game ball for the season is obviously Tom Compton. So
Of
that goes
course.
without saying.
No, I got to give it to. I have to give it to Kirk, game ball wise.
See, and he had a slow start to the season too, but it's obvious that he's got to be the guy to me.
Yeah, but if there was if we were
Reed
giving out
again.
an MVP award, it's Jordan Reed. I mean, I've said that before, but this is a different.
That's I'm kind of equating the game, but my season game ball was sort of my regular season MVP award. That's the way I was looking at it.
I'm looking at it a little differently. It's like for me, it's like a honorable mention type thing. I mean, Kirk is obvious, but he gets a game ball because he's really fixed what his biggest problem was his turnovers and inability to bounce back.
He grew
And
as a
he's-
player.
he has definitely grown as a player. I mean, you look at this game, he was completely efficient. Like, he looked like he was in total control of everything.
Yeah.
He looked like, what Brady did against us a couple weeks ago, like just, being surgical and picking them apart.
If he had played this whole game, you'd probably be looking like a 7-touchdown game from him.
You never know.
Yeah.
Much better game today than our last matchup against them. Very interesting indeed.
Yep.
So before we go, guys, I just want to, shine a little spotlight on somebody who said something really smart.
Tom Compton?
No, not him this time. We'll get back to him. I want to shine a little spotlight on someone who's far more physically attractive, far more mentally insightful. I'm talking, of course, about me. And I correctly guessed the 9-7 finish of this season. If you think back to before the season started, we all put predictions down. These are online, folks. You can go to our blog style section. You can go down to our season predictions. It's one of the first articles we did. It's the very first.
Way down.
Yeah. So it is published in print. You can read it, bask in my awesomeness over the power of the interweb.
You hit it exactly.
I hit it exactly. Now, I am such a nice guy. I'm going to. What's that?
Golf clap for Sean.
Yes. Golf clap. Now, the reason it's not a full clap, and I have to admit this, is because A, my matchups are jacked up. I didn't get very many of them correct. Also, I predicted that record under the understanding that Robert Griffin would be our quarterback. So I was wrong. I was right for all the wrong reasons, but that's okay. A win is a win.
Matter.
The Redskins also learned that lesson this season. They won because no one else was good enough. So hey, we'll take
sending emoticons doesn't really work on the radio.
I sent Sean a cake emoticon,
and I'm gonna stuff that cake in my fat mouth and pat myself on the back.
Emoticon? Hold on a minute. What
that
is
symbol
an
you
emoticon?
see right there in the messages?
The little cake.
Yes.
Okay.
Twirling
Steve,
around.
Emoticon is the third Transformer race. You've got the Decepticons and the Autobots, and then
They're the emotional Transformers.
they're like
I've
the
not seen
Kylo
those
Rens,
movies
yes,
either.
of Transformers.
Okay.
Nice.
All right, well, we can wrap up there, but make sure you check back in with us next week because, boy, oh boy, folks, we have a game preview for the playoffs. It's going to be sexy, and we're just 6 days away, I believe, from the game, right?
And Tom Compton.
Are we playing Saturday or Sunday? Do we know that yet?
It's the 9th, I
No,
believe, right?
I don't think the schedule's been announced yet.
I thought the schedule was. I could be wrong about that. Don't quote me on that. Anyways, we got playoffs looming on the horizon. We will be doing a preview episode for that, so make sure you are staying up to date with us.
And as of right
we are
now,
pleased to announce that Tom Compton will be our guest.
This is right. He's actually going to take over for me, the host of the show.
No, Tom Compton. We may have a guest. I think we can confirm we will have a guest, and it will not be Tom Compton. It will be someone else, maybe two. Depends on what happens the next day or two. So you have to stay tuned to figure out.
he's a Brit.
Maybe.
There may be two. We have two people we're kind of teetering on the edge with right now. Yeah.
The Brit
As
is
of-
And unfortunately,
Obi-Wan
it's not Tom. Unfortunately,
As
it's
of
not
right
Tom.
now,
Compton.
we are Vikings fans for the night.
Yes.
As of right now, I mean, obviously, most people are going to hear this the
Tomorrow.
next day,
Yeah.
and tomorrow, in the future. But
Everybody's going to hear it tomorrow. Actually, Robbie, but
so hopefully tonight we are correct that the Vikings win. We face the Packers in the playoffs.
Mhm.
Please God.
Yes.
Yep.
I'm thinking we want. I'm still thinking we want the Vikings personally.
It's not going to
Go with
happen
the
now.
lesser quarterback.
It's not going to happen now
Yeah, we
because,
can.
because of Seattle winning.
Is Seattle winning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, are they
They're
winning?
still, yeah, they're up like 33-6 now.
Yeah.
They
Never mind.
basically got it.
Not good.
So, anyways, go Vikings!
Yeah.
Woo! We will see you guys
Yeah.
next week.
So
Hopefully
we're actually rooting.
We're
actually
rooting for the
Aaron
Vikings so
Rodgers
we can
to
face the
win
Packers,
Series.
Steve.
Well, so we can
Yes, we
face
are.
Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, does that sound? That sounds.
Would you
crazy.
rather face the Seahawks?
Yes.
I don't know,
Aaron
man.
Rodgers is scary, but the rest of the Packers I'd rather face.
Exactly.
I'd rather face 52 other guys on that team than the 53 guys on the Seattle roster.
So Skull Vikings and go Taylor Heineke.
That's right. Amen. We'll see you next time, folks.
Yeah.
I almost gave a game ball to Tom Compton just because he's so awesome.